Recently had the opportunity to mark off the one item that was on my bucket list, and that was to ride the Continental Divide Trail on a motorcycle from Canada to Mexico. Of course, my friend Billy Oliver had to go along. Spent a lot of time over many months, really up to a year, researching and working on the route that we were going to take. A lot of folks over the years have done this route and made some great videos that are on YouTube. You'll see right away that I'm an amateur at this, but I did want to make this video just to share a little bit about our adventure. We knew from prior experience that it was indeed going to be an adventure, because no matter how much we planned and things were going to go wrong, your route was going to change. One of the first things I did was called Alan Cook Transport, who picked up our bikes at my house in Kuntz, Texas, and he hauled them to a place called Fast Toys in Kalispell, Montana. Billy and I then bought a one-way ticket to Glacier International Airport. September 12th, my alarm went off at 2:45 a.m., and the wife took us to Houston Hobby Airport. Met a guy on the plane from Kalispell who gave us a ride to where our motorcycles were stored. Got the bikes, found the cheapest motel in Kalispell, which was a travel lodge. First day of riding, September 13th, we left Kalispell around 8 and headed north to Canada. Here we are approaching Whitefish, Montana. The plan was to ride the 60 to 70 miles to the Canadian border and then turn around and backtrack a bit till we got on our trail or our route. As we went up in elevation in the Flathead mountain range, we hit some very dense fog. Temperature also dropped almost 10 degrees, and we put on our weather gloves. We stopped here at the Home Range Bottoms. We were told this is a great place to stop and get a hamburger, but since it was only about 10 o'clock in the morning, we kept going. I'll be back in a few minutes when we get to Canada. Canada.
Yeah.
We arrived at the U.S. border with Canada around 11:15. Of course, we had to take a few pictures. Then we started south. Stopped there in Pole Bridge, Montana. Saw Sasquatch and his family. Then we proceeded to the North Fork entrance to Glacier. Based on my extensive research, I knew that the west side entrance to Glacier required a day pass entrance or a reservation. Well, I did not know that this particular entrance required one. So only 4 hours into our adventure, we were making our first route adjustment. Went south and entered the Glacier National Park. We ended up in East Glacier, Montana for the night. Provided a little map there showing the route we took through Glacier. Ended up 185 miles on that first day before we landed in East Glacier. Good morning. We are in East Glacier, about to head out through the heart of Glacier Park, going to the Sun Road. So we left East Glacier and rode to St. Mary, Montana, and did in fact enter Glacier National Park. The next part of the video is just the spectacular scenery in our trip along going to the Sun Road. If you've never been, you really need to see it. The only glacier we saw, which is coming up here in a minute, is Jackson Glacier, where we stopped and took a picture and looked at it. It was probably 10 to 15 miles away. I'm sure you could have hiked there, but we certainly were not in the mood to hike to Jackson Glacier. Then stopped at a place called Logan Pass. Went on back through a town called West Glacier, and we ended up in Big Fort, Montana. That was all pavement on day 2. The next little bit is just the ride along going to the Sun Road. Be back in a little bit. We still gotta go up though.
Might be easy.
There's some red rocks. Day 3, we left Big Fork and headed south to Seeley Lake, rode along Bug Creek, Upper Bug Creek, and U Creek Road. Hit Highway 83 there a couple times. At one point, I realized that my route had turned into a hiking-only trail. That was about 15 to 20 miles and a good hour and a half into the mountains. Fortunately, we were able to navigate out without having to backtrack. It was a light rain drizzle most of the morning. Here's Porcupine or Lower Porcupine Road. Several times we saw deer along this stretch as we're approaching Seeley Lake. There's another map there showing the route from Big Fork down to Seeley Lake. Again, we hit a little bit of rain after we went through Seeley Lake. We actually stopped this time and put on our full rain gear. Here's Kleinschmidt Flats. Saw some horses there. We had to stop for a minute and say hello to the horses. Once again, we hit some fog and it started raining a little bit harder. At this point, we are northwest of Lincoln, Montana. Here in a little bit, we hit the rockiest section of the trail that we had seen. So we made it to Lincoln, Montana, ended up at the Three Bears Motel. They didn't have air conditioners. We weren't quite used to that being from Texas. Had dinner at the Wheel Inn. We met 7 guys from France who were riding the Continental Divide Trail. All of them had Yamaha Teneres. There was only one fellow with them that spoke a little bit of English. So on day 4, we left Lincoln. Again, we had rain, some thick fog, some rocky, narrow, sketchy trails through the mountains, and then some nice flowing gravel roads through several national forests. About this point, the guys on the Yamahas passed us, found out I had blown a fuse on the motorcycle, and my Garmin Zumo was not working anymore. Fortunately, Billy had finally purchased a satellite navigation device to at least let us know where we were. Here's one of the rockiest sections that we had seen since we started the trip. Here we are right outside of Butte, Montana. Ended up staying at a Motel 6 there. Found a really neat Irish restaurant and pub, of course. That there was a map of the route from Lincoln to Butte, Montana. Day 5, we left Butte. It was about 41 degrees and was very, very dense. I probably should not riding on a motorcycle type of fog. This particular day, we ended up doing 270 miles on 85% gravel or rocky roads. Seemed like we did not even go near a town for almost 6 hours. We ended up stopping in Lima, Montana for a break. Once again, we met up with our 7 new friends from France on the Teneres. We arrived in Island Park, Idaho around 5:30. And once again, met up with our friends from France. They were staying in the same motel that we were. Day 6, it was 38 degrees when we left Island Park. We were wearing our full winter gear. We entered Yellowstone National Park from West Yellowstone. Ended up losing my Texas Longhorn cap. And of course, we had to go by and see Old Faithful. I had the video clip sped up to 5 times its actual speed there. After we left Yellowstone, went into the Grand Teton National Park. Again, there's a map to give you an idea where we were at this point. Went through the Bridger Teton and Shoshone National Forest. As always, all these pictures and the video just don't do the actual appearance any sort of justice. Just spectacular scenery. We ended up in DuBois, Wyoming, which is apparently a hot spot for every single type of outdoor activity you can imagine: hunting, fishing, side-by-side, riding, hiking. They were very proud of their motels. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I stepped outside in just my underwear to get something off the motorcycle. And yes, the door closed behind me, and it was in the low 30s. Fortunately, I was able to wake up Billy so he could let me back in. Day 7, we left DuBois, Wyoming around 7:45. It was 36 degrees. But we knew, again, it was going to warm up pretty quickly. Just some spectacular scenery on this leg. So we stopped here in Midland, Wyoming. And once again, we crossed paths with our new friends from France. Saw some antelope there outside of Midland, Wyoming. Our next stop was going to be Atlantic City, which was the only possible spot to get gas before Rawlins. We went at least 80 miles on this section without seeing a single vehicle or human. So we made it to Atlantic City, and again, I definitely needed gas. The only place in town that sold gas was this gun shop there. I think it's called Wild Bill's. Well, Wild Bill was not there and was not answering the door. So I was looking at the map, trying to figure out where I was going to have to make a detour to find gas. So we ran into this young man here who ended up saving the day. We paid him for some gas, and we headed out to Rawlins. This was, again, very, very remote area. Didn't see anybody until towards the end of this desert stretch, and I don't have this on video, but we had pulled over on the side of the road, the sandy road, just to take a little break. And we see a truck pulling a trailer come in the opposite direction, and he was going way, way too fast and almost jackknifed his trailer, and he missed us by about 5 feet, not exaggerating. So anyway, that was our near-death experience. Made it to Rawlins. Left Rawlins on day 8 around 9:15. Actually had breakfast at the motel, so we ate there. It was the warmest morning yet, probably low 50s. This is Battle Mountain, Wyoming. Again, just spectacular scenery. Before long, we were in Colorado. Here's right on the Wyoming-Colorado borders. So we made it to Steamboat Springs. Again, the aspen changing colors was just stunning. Apparently, everybody in northern Colorado knew about that because Steamboat Springs was very, very busy. South of Steamboat, we turned off on some dirt, and it was very light rain. We stopped and put our rain jacket on, but decided not to put our rain pants on. That was a mistake because the rain got harder. None of this is on the video because it was raining. Once the rain stopped, we pulled over on the side of the road and changed clothes, put our riding pants on at that point, something we should have done about an hour earlier. This is a real neat section of the trail south of Kremmling, Colorado. South of Kremmling, Colorado. Billy continued to have problems getting his bike started in the morning. Here we are in the motel parking lot in Kremmling. Put a charger on the battery for a couple hours. Went and bought a new battery and tried that. And only after about 2 to 3 hours of charging it and trying to start it did it finally start. Finally left Kremling around noon. Crossed over the Hoosier Pass north of Fairplay. It was pretty chilly at the pass, of course. Made it to Fairplay, Colorado. Met a little boy there with his mother who was looking at the motorcycle, and I let him sit on the bike. He seemed to really enjoy that. And because it was raining on us in Breckenridge, we did detour off the dirt route and stayed on Highway 9 down to Fairplay. We hit Elkhorn Road. We rode on County Road 53. Again, we're headed southeast towards Salida. Saw this spectacular double rainbow. If you look carefully, you can see the second rainbow. Then we got on what I've seen called the Ute Trail or County Road 175. This really was, coming up here in a minute, one of the prettiest views that we saw the entire trip on Ute Trail just outside of Salida. Getting ahead of myself, but once we did make it to Salida, we went to eat at the Boathouse Restaurant. If you're ever in Salida, we highly recommend that. May have mentioned earlier, but we met a lot of really neat people along the way. Day 10, had issues getting Billy's bike started again. Met a young couple who tried to jump start his bike. Finally left probably around 10:30. Rode through Poncha Springs, Marshall Pass. Got through Marshall Pass. We ended up taking a detour. Kind of a long story, but we also saw our friends on the 7 Teneres on this particular leg. We ended up in Chama, New Mexico right at dark, 257 miles on the day, a lot of pavement. The last 15 miles was over mountain passes that seemed to go on way too long. Considering the sun was going down, our fingers were numb that last hour, and it was mid-30s once we got into Chama. Day 11, we left Chama. It was in the low 40s. Again, Billy's bike wasn't starting, so he actually set his alarm for 11 p.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. Finally figured out that it had to be an issue with the fuel pump losing pressure. We got into Santa Fe near Abiquiu, New Mexico, and we reached this one spot. It was this very sketchy 30-degree rocky rutted hill. We decided we were going to pass that leg, so we detoured through Los Alamos, New Mexico, ended up in Grant, New Mexico. Actually on day 11, 307 miles of pavement. Day 12, we left Grants, New Mexico, And we did make it to Pie Town, New Mexico. Had to stop there for a piece of pie. We ended up that evening in Reserve, New Mexico. Day 13, we made it to Antelope Wells in the Mexican border, 331 miles on the day, 2,772 miles from Canada to Mexico. I don't know how to describe it. We had a sense of accomplishment, of course, but it was also kind of sad that the trip was over. Well, almost over. We still had to get back home. After we left Antelope Wells, we stayed in Columbus, New Mexico that night. Day 14, 396 miles from Columbus through El Paso and the Guadalupe Mountains. Saw Guadalupe Peak, which is, of course, the highest point in Texas. Ended up in Midland, Texas for the night. Day 15, we had a change of plans. Billy headed on back to Southeast Texas, and I rode 360 miles to Dallas to see my granddaughter Lila, and of course her mom and dad. Final push was day 15, 250 miles from Dallas to Pine Ridge, 4,033 miles total. Just an incredible adventure. Now we just got to figure out where we're going to go next time. Anyway, thanks for riding along.